Hello, everybody. This is Steve Monday, Chief Forecaster for Rowan County Weather. Wanted to come back and talk to you real quickly about an event that occurred last night in the Wesley Drive area of Salisbury. You may have saw the photos posted on Facebook and Twitter last night that I shared that were submitted by Gene Burgess and some other folks as well, where trees were knocked down in that area, and there were trees on vehicles, trees on homes, and the concern was, did we possibly have a tornado in that area? And after looking at some of the data, it appears to me that we've had what is considered a wet microburst. And I want to go ahead and kind of share with you the details on how those happen and explain to you why I think that's what occurred there. So first of all, one of the things that was mentioned to me with some of the folks over there is this seemed to have lasted for around 3 to 5 minutes, this gust or this rush of wind and water. With tornadoes, you know, they move through. They don't hang around. They just move right on through at whatever speed they're traveling. They're, you know, pretty quick, and they're over in terms of the area you're in as far as the damage that occurs. With microbursts, they can last for several minutes because you have this ongoing flow of water and wind being pushed down to the ground. And let me describe to you how that happens. So as the storms start to build, I'm going to turn on my drawing tool here as well so I can draw some things on the screen while I'm at it. So as storms start to build and they build up into the atmosphere, so as they start to get higher and higher into the atmosphere, you see these big cloud tops, and you'll see them, and we saw it yesterday. This storm was huge yesterday. It was really high up into the atmosphere, and you'll see these cloud tops get way up there, and they balloon out, look like cauliflower in a way, big cotton balls, things like that, and they just get way up into the atmosphere. Well, what happens is if you have several days of dry air in front of storms like that, and we've had that. We had 90-degree days, and it was very hot and very dry. All that dry air kind of gets pushed in and sucked into the storm on each side. And what it does is it starts to compress that storm and squeeze it in. As you see these arrows pointing in here, and it's kind of like squeezing a sponge. If you fill a sponge up with water and you squeeze it, all that water is going to come out, and it's going to go somewhere. Well, what happens is the storm ends up getting essentially crushed and squashed, and it gets pushed back down into the, back down to the ground. And when it does, all that wind and all that rain has to go somewhere. So it gets dispersed out in several areas and goes out several different directions. And when it does, trees can't handle the pressure of that, especially if the microburst is coming down right on top of them. Trees are developed to sway back and forth in the wind. That's how nature developed them and intended for them to have some stability. But if you get this constant flow of wind and this constant force, well, it's going to knock the tree over. But also if the wind is coming down on top of the trees, you may see the tree split in half at a certain point. It may be that the trunk of the tree and you know, a quarter of the way up or 3/4 of the way up or something like that, halfway up, the tree splits in half. The top part falls to the ground and the bottom part stays intact in the trunk and all in the ground. Then you also have trees that fall from the roots. Well, that comes from a couple of different reasons. One, the ground gets very saturated very quickly, and or you get this strong force of wind that's pushing into the tree. And at some point, something's got to give. Either it's going to be the wind or it's going to be the tree. And if the wind consistently lasts long enough, the tree is going to fall. And really, that's what it seems to be occurred over on the Wesley Drive area of Salisbury last night. So again, I did want to share this information with you, give you the reasons to why I came to this conclusion. I would say based on some of the video I've seen and some of the pictures I've seen, you probably saw winds anywhere between probably 50 and 60 miles an hour. And that was for a decent duration. You have to remember, usually when you get a gust is determined by 10 seconds or more, the wind lasting at a certain speed for 10 seconds or more. That's exactly what we saw here. I mean, this, you know, based on some of the details that were provided to me from folks in that area, you know, this thing seemed to be pretty constant for, again, around 3 to 5 minutes. And so it certainly really describes what would be considered a wet microburst. Now, you can also have these occur as dry microbursts as well, where there's not any rain in the cloud at all. And what happens is you start to get these fair weather clouds that build. And they'll do the same thing. They build up, they get high into the atmosphere. It's a storm that's trying to develop. Dry air is moving in with it, and it kind of squashes it, presses into it, and causes that cloud to go, okay, I'm going to have to go somewhere, and it starts shooting everything down to the ground. And in a dry microburst, it would literally be all wind, no rain at all. So again, those are some opportunities that could happen, but I do feel wholeheartedly that what happened over in the Wesley Drive area of Salisbury last night was indeed a wet microburst. But anyway, I wanted to share the details with you, and certainly hope this helps make some sense. And as always, thank you for following Rowan County weather, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everybody.